We're live. We're back. This is like an alternate life. If you had stayed down here, we'd probably have a podcast.
Yeah. Well, I had a podcast before anybody, I think.
No.
I had a podcast in like 2007.
Really?
Yeah, me and Josh Gondelman, the two-man canoe.
Jogo.
Mm-hmm. You ever see him around?
Not too much. I texted him recently. My friend Lindsay Adams was opening for him. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen him around in a long time, but I love Josh Gondelman.
Yeah.
Great guy.
I'm in constant communication with Josh.
Is that right?
Yeah. We text about the Celts a lot.
Oh, he's a sweet boy.
But yeah, we had people listening to us in like Sweden.
Seriously?
And then I was like, I think this wave is crest. And
was it before you moved? Because I lived with you in 2007. I don't remember hearing a peep about this.
Wait a second. Yeah, no, it was like 2007, 2008. But
so where did you go? Did you go somewhere?
I moved, but I basically just came down here and got drunk 6 times.
Yeah, let's tell them about it. So folks that don't know, and I will have given a proper intro, but Dan Boulger, one of the best comics, I think. Everybody thinks that.
Thanks.
You have such a great reputation here for a guy. You're like a ghost. You're a mystical figure.
Well, it's low sample size.
Is it mythical or mystical? No, mythical. But I guess mystical would work too.
Yeah. I don't know what the myth exactly is, but...
Well, mythical.
Okay.
You're not a myth figure. You're mythical. You're in the neighborhood of myth.
Cool.
But you're a guy that shows up, has great jokes, and you're one of these people too. Because New Yorkers, if you're not living in New York, people just think you suck, and then you'll show up, kill, and then leave, and people are like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Patterson's like that too. I remember James Patterson did Hot Soup, and then everyone was like, "Who's this guy?" And I'm like, he started 27 years ago.
James Patterson has lived with me 3 different times, and I never saw him less than when I lived with him. But if he lives in L.A., he'll just show up at your house and stay for 2 weeks.
But that's you. Yes. You and Patterson are very similar. Now, Dan Boulger and I have been friends for 20 years, and we lived together 17 years ago. Mm-hmm. And when I met you, you were like 19 years old. And
solid bowl cut.
The other day, a couple weeks ago, I was at my Starbucks, and then you walked in. For those who don't know, Dan lives in South Boston.
Yeah.
And we've been friends for 20 years, and you were in my neighborhood Starbucks.
I was crashing next door to you.
And just didn't
touch base. I didn't call you to say hi or anything. But for some reason, I was under the impression you weren't in town. And I just never followed up with it.
You still say hello.
But then I just kind of snuck behind you at Starbucks. I thought that was a funner way. And then I hung out with you the whole day.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was ditching the people I was crashing with.
It was weird. What did we do?
We went to Starbucks. We sat in your backyard.
Oh, that's right. Did we smoke a cigar?
I thought I've watched you smoke a cigar. I think I've given up on smoking cigars.
Well, that's like Ira, our friend, our old roommate Ira used to say.
Right there.
Oh, yeah, a bunch of photos. I assume that might be before your time, actually.
It was, yeah. But I remember that photo.
Weird. Yeah, I mean, so much to get into. But yeah, so we were talking about something. Oh, I guess we can talk about us living together. But we were an unlikely pair at the time because I didn't really know you.
Yeah, I had only really hung out with you once. We did a thing for the Boston Globe where we're all holding ice cream cones or something like that.
Oh, that's right. And Tom Dustin and I showed up like 45 minutes late, like Axl Rose and Slash.
Yeah. I guess that would make me Izzy.
Is he or isn't he?
Well, Izzy was the elusive one. He just left the band early.
Right. And then they added a Dizzy.
I think you were opening for Dane that night.
Oh, wow. There was a rock and roll band that had a Dizzy and Izzy in it. Mm-hmm. That must have been weird. Izzy Stradlin and Dizzy Reed. We're big Guns N' Roses guys.
We had a Duff, too.
We were in Guns N' Roses for a period. Yeah, there was Izzy, Dizzy, and Duff.
I broke up after the Ritz in '88. I left the band.
That's a Dr. Seuss book. Izzy, Dizzy, Duff, and Axl. And Slash.
A Guns N' Roses children's book would actually be pretty sick.
That is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're big GNR friends, which is one of the things we bonded over.
Have we seen GNR together?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't been to a concert together.
No, I guess not.
That eliminated the prospect of the Guns N' Roses concert.
No, which is fun because we're big rock and roll guys. We're big concert guys, but we have lived in different cities most of our lives.
Yeah. We were at a Pearl Jam concert, the same Pearl Jam concert once, but I was on mushrooms.
Yeah,
and I kind of got lost
in a different seat. Yeah. Well, you're a guy that gets lost a lot.
On the way here.
Is that right?
Yeah. It took me an hour and a half to get here from I don't even know where the fuck I'm staying. I'm staying in Brooklyn somewhere. This is a fascinating thing. I mean, there's so much to get into, and you're just a well of mental health problems as far as I can tell. Best not be addressed, I've always felt. Best thing left unsolved. Yeah. We're big Spinal Tap guys. Spinal Tap sequel coming out. I don't know if I'm excited about that. Why not? Yeah.
Good point. We also, by the way, I mean, my head is exploding because it's years of friendship, but my friend Matt Wayne, who opens to me on the road, wonderful guy. You know Matt Wayne, I'm sure you've met him, maybe. I don't know, but he is the only other person I've met who's a big Forget-A-Buddies guy. It's you, me, and him.
I've shown young comics the Forget-A-Buddies, and they never talk to me
Swing and a miss. You ever see Forget-A-Buddies?
Swing and a miss. We were obsessed with it. It was probably the most watched thing we had because it was like the only 18-minute thing we would watch, because otherwise we'd watch Caddyshack or Spinal Tap.
That and Caddyshack. We watched Caddyshack. We once had a visit. I gotta get this interview on the tracks here, but all these things are coming to mind. But yeah, I remember we tried watching Caddyshack. Or no, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. That was another go-to. We tried watching it with a comic named John Lincoln.
Oh, and he kept like yelling at us that we were saying all the lines.
We were just doing the lines, and he was like, "Hey, I'm trying to watch the movie." And it was like when Jerry and Elaine hang out with Susan. We were like,
"Yeah." No, I don't think I ever have to watch that movie again. I think I can just kind of recite it.
Yeah. So we were very obsessive boys, and we would smoke weed out of a Mountain Dew bottle, which I think we're going to die in our 40s because it was aluminum foil.
It really is a testament to like how little money we had at the time. Because I remember like walking through Central Park with you one time, and it was a tandem bicycle that was like $15, which would have been wonderfully silly. And it was like $15, and we couldn't scrape it together. But with the bowl, it's like we got cancer by not spending like $6.
Do you think we're going to have cancer?
Well, genetically, my heart's going to explode in about 13 years.
Oh, is that right?
I would say. Yeah, about 49.
Your father and grandfather or something like that?
Father, uncle, and then, just a bunch of relatives that have keeled over.
Well, are you on it? Are you going to the doctor, getting it
I do the elliptical, and I have...
It's not bad. But do they look in there? Do they listen and look?
All's well so far, but I would say family history of heart disease plus diabetes, I'm going to have to really hit the elliptical pretty hard.
Well, you have diabetes. But by the way, can we talk about this? Because I've heard diabetes is not family, whatever that's called. Genetic.
Yeah.
That's wrong, right?
Well, my brother, type 1 diabetes is not supposed to be genetic.
Yes, but I have an uncle who has a son that both have it.
Yeah,
and you have a father that had it.
Brother.
But
what the doctors have told me is if you take 2 million people that have diabetes, 2 of them are bound to be brothers, 2 of them are bound to be sisters.
I guess so.
Correlation, causation. Is that a thing people say?
I think so, but it's also just weird that I'm like, I just know 2 people that have type 1 diabetes, and they both have close relatives that also have type 1 diabetes.
I believe that,
but I didn't study
that's
the fucking
what
thing.
Billy Bean would call a small sample size.
Right. I guess so. But I would call it ironic.
But type 2 diabetes, super genetic.
Right.
And, it tends that happen in socioeconomic areas with bad food.
Yeah. No, I mean, I eat like shit, but I just ate a donut, matter of fact. But I'm scared about my heart because I keep having chest pain. My whole life I've had chest pains, I think from stress and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And now I have high blood pressure and high cholesterol, and I keep eating cheese.
When I first got diabetes, I thought it was just heartburn that lasted like 4 months.
Well, I tell a story also. Didn't you think you were dehydrated, so you kept pounding Gatorades?
Yeah. I remember me and Eric Tynan went and bought a bunch of cherries. I got diagnosed. We were just crushing cherries.
Why were you eating cherries?
I just thought they were on sale and they looked good. And I thought I was just dehydrated. So I'm like, a fruit, anything you could do. But It probably couldn't have been a worse thing.
And you were pissing a lot?
Yes. And it would almost look like I poured a 2-liter of Diet Coke into like so very frothy.
For some reason, dirty piss is one of the things that really triggers me more than blood.
It's a sign,
just a nasty piss.
It's a sign of something that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, just a pale fucking syrupy piss is the grossest thing in the world to me.
I would say, syrup would basically be what was coming out.
Okay, so you got the diabetes, and I don't know where to start, but we moved together here. I didn't really know you because I had met you once, and I had a thing called alcoholism, which also runs in your family, I believe.
Yeah. I caught up to you.
Yeah. Well, I remember I told the story all the time. You were just a wee boy, and you were like, I want to drink with you and Ira. And I remember thinking like, no, you shouldn't do that. Oh,
yeah. It's amazing. I went from very quiet high school kid to drinking with you, Ira, and Greg Giraldo within 2 months.
Yeah, real sharp intake in your alcoholism. But so how did you start when you that's what I was going to say about my alcoholism. I had a thing for years. Anybody new that showed up, I hated, which is just a real symptom of alcoholism. A real like, who's this fucking piece of shit?
Yeah.
I almost said the F word, but that's what I would have said then.
Sure.
But anyways, you showed up and you were some young asshole. And I was also mad because I was the young phenom kid. I was the 18-year-old kid. That was my thing. I'm the young guy with the old guys with the jokes. And then you showed up and that was your thing.
Yeah, but you were running circles around me. I mean, you had...
but yeah.
Yes. I mean, well, it's been a many circles of the globe at this point. But you had like a bounce to you that I still only occasionally get if I eat the right meal at the right hour. I'm
bouncy. Big bounce.
Like, especially young you had kind of it seemed a little more energetic than now.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I was drunk.
Yeah. But it almost reminded me of like, just new when I saw you. I'm like, oh, it's like a kind of young Nick Schwartzen-y kind of vibe.
Oh, I'll take it.
Right? Where it's kind of like bouncy jokes. And even to this day, like when we were in Florida, where the hell were we?
Florida, Side Splitters, yeah.
You went up with like no act, like you just had done a special.
Yeah.
You're just incredibly good at being on stage and bouncing around. Like even that thing you put on the other night with just all crowd work where you're talking about Queens.
Yeah, we've done a few of those.
Yeah. I kept yelling at the thing, like, say Paul Simon.
No, I think we brought up Paul Simon.
Did you get to Paul Simon?
Yeah. Huh. I sang some Paul Simon.
Oh, fuck. All right. I don't remember. I watched it late at night.
Yeah, Paul Simon was there.
But you're so good at shit like that.
Oh, thank you.
I really need to I always tell James Patterson, like, I can go straight jokes for like 35 minutes, and then I kind of need some people to slip on some banana peels.
Right. Yeah.
In the crowd.
You need like, what's that?
I don't facilitate crowd work, but if something happens, I can kind of ride it.
Yeah. We've all been in that feeling, that stage where you don't have enough time, and so you're like, please, somebody spill a tray of drinks. Yeah, you're like, this crowd's too good. I've done that. I remember early in the years too, like especially when you don't have like enough time and you're like, whoa, what'd you say over there? And someone's like, oh, I just said Diet Coke, please. Whoa, what do we got over there?
What a whore you are.
What? But anyways, you had shown up and then I had kind of seen you and hated you because you were a young teenage kid. And I remember distinctly being at City Steam in Hartford working. And then whoever I was working with was like, do you hear who won the Boston Comedy Festival? Dan Boulger. And I was outraged. I couldn't believe it. Because how old were you?
How do you think the 30-year-old guys I beat?
I know. Because you had 5 minutes total.
And of that, I dropped all of it within 6 months. I don't know really how I did a thing on BBC shortly after that for The World Stands Up.
Big Black Cock, yeah.
Whatever the hell it was. I had to do 20 minutes on it, and it was the first time I'd ever done 20 minutes.
That's wild.
On TV. So I never saw it. I never wanted to see it. And then they've finally some clips have kind of like popped on the internet. And I watched them like, I have no recollection of doing this. I don't remember writing any of this.
Well, you did the Jenga bit. That was like a big bit.
Yep, the Jenga.
What was that joke? You drove like a log truck or something?
Working construction. If for some reason the 2x4s fall off your truck and go through the windshield, don't turn to your boss and say Jenga.
Yeah, that's good.
Like that. Yeah.
Was a big.
It feels jokey now.
That was a big joke. Yeah, that was big. But you
and a
won
gay marriage one that worked real good.
So talk about winning the festival. Because I should set up that—that's a big con. You won $10,000, and it was like
I won $5,000.
Oh, okay. It went up to $10,000 later.
I think they used to divvy it up, or maybe they just like, if I give him $5,000, I bet he won't complain.
Right.
Which I wouldn't.
So it was a big contest. Who were you up against? What are your memories of that?
The one I remember is I was so nervous I didn't really like listen to anybody talk, and the guy that went up before me was this guy Daryl Lennox, who has since passed.
Daryl Lennox is dead? The black comic?
We might have to check that. I think he's dead. But he's dead. Yeah, he's definitely dead.
Is that right?
Yeah. But I didn't know he was blind because he was talking about being blind on stage.
Oh, I'm confused.
And then after his set, I went to go shake his hand, and he just like walked by me. And I thought it was like a power move. I thought he was like trying to play head games.
It was like Bird Magic, the 87 finals. Yeah. Is he dead? Can we confirm that?
He's
all
dead.
right.
Yeah.
So long,
Daryl.
I'll pour one out for DL.
No, who else was in it? Shane Moss was in it.
Okay.
So a couple of us were new, but a bunch of them were like 30-year-old guys. I remember being so nervous that I didn't even know to be nervous.
Right. And then you just won.
Yeah, just one. But yeah, it was the same 7 minutes I did at like the Emerald Isle, the shitty mic in Dorchester.
Were you shocked when they called your name? Did you think like, I got a chance at this? And like the morning of, were you like, I think I could fucking win. I'm going to go win this fucking thing.
Well, I just knew like I do 7 minutes and the jokes seem to work.
Right.
And I went third. That's a huge advantage in a contest. If you go bullet or last, you're pretty much fucked.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's ever won going first.
No. So going third or fourth's huge. And then I got a couple of applause breaks, and then it's kind of, I think there was a thing of like, in those contests, I don't think they want like a 30-year guy to win.
Right.
They want to try to break somebody.
I guess so, but because it was still new then. Because for a while, the first few years of that festival, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds in the Boston Comedy Festival, it was all Boston guys. It was like Paul Nardizzi, Dave Russo, Robbie Prince, you. And finally, I think some people were like, hey, just a heads up, only straight white men from Boston have won.
Yeah.
And they're all Irish and Italian also.
It's part of their business model.
And so I think they were like, jeez.
But like one year, like Dwight Slade won, who like started with Hicks.
I was in there that year. That was the year I was in the finals.
Yeah. And people were like, well, big deal. You beat a bunch of...
Yes. It was like me, Baron Vaughn, Dave Waite, and then Doug Slade.
Oh, yeah. That was a stacked year.
Yes.
And then our buddy Dave McDonough won one year.
Yes.
And then he was another guy, like had 7 killer minutes.
I think he quit comedy, right?
Almost instantly.
Yeah.
He bought new tires and like quit.
Which, one of my favorite stories.
Yeah, he bought new tires and like a bunch of meat.
One of my favorite stories, and I want to get back to because I believe you quit college and then we moved together shortly after. But I do want to just tell this quick story. But we all did the Seattle comedy competition.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a month long, which was when I had hit rock bottom and kept going.
That was one of the last drinking hurrahs.
Yeah, it was wild. It was about a month in Seattle, but then afterwards we were all dejected. You, me, and Dave McDonough had lost. Although I think I made it to the finals, so I guess I hadn't been eliminated yet. And one local comic was giving advice and going, the festival you really need to do is Boston. That's the one where you get some eyes on you. You can really break from that. And Dave McDonough goes, no, I did it last year.
Yeah,
I won.
One-handedly.
He had no idea that he was talking to the guy that previously won it.
Yeah. But that festival was a little different. Like for Dave, and especially for me, like I was only used to doing city sets at the time. That one, you go out to like islands. You go out to... Yeah. It was pretty cool, actually.
It was good fun, and I was staying with Derek at the time, so it worked out great for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you won the Boston Comedy Festival, and then you quit college.
Yes, I quit like 2 days after the deadline for getting the refund. So like I won a contest, and I made like negative 20 grand.
That really sums up so much of who we are deep as people. I'm just like, whoops. Oh, well. And then we moved together. What year did you win? Because we moved in April of 07.
06?
So you won 06. You won the year before. Because I remember just talking to you in the back of the Comedy Connection in Boston, and you were just like, hey, I'm going to move to New York. I heard you might want to move to New York.
Yeah.
And that was the extent. We had never like hung out.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, great. And I think Danny Kelly was going to be the third person, who was also a Boston comic, who was quite a bit older than us.
Yeah. No, we kind of pulled a bait and switch on him.
Yeah, we probably fucked him over. But he moved down the street with Dan Hershon. Yes, I think he was a little more straight, and he's probably only actually like maybe 8 years older than me. But that felt like a lot of years.
But emotionally, he was 100 years older than me. I mean, I was a baby.
Yeah, we were two real morons. And then we hooked up with our friend Ira, who was 10 years older than me. I think we were all... How much younger are you than me? Because it felt like a lot at the time.
I'm about to be 38.
Yeah, so we're only like 3 years difference?
Yeah.
Or 4 years difference.
But it felt...
4 years.
At 21, 4 years difference is actually still a bit of a difference.
25 and 21 does feel like a difference. Yeah.
Now I can rent a car. I can do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, you can do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we hooked up with Ira, who's 10 years older than me, and we were just hardcore drunks, and you were new to drinking, I feel like.
Yeah, but I was new to drinking, but I also didn't know how to like go home when I was drinking.
Same.
So I just would be out. and just kind of drink until I would pass out.
Yeah, I think we got.
Do you remember John Fish? I was walking into that bar.
I remember John Fish,
yeah. I was walking into the McCann's, our kind of drinking spot one time, and if you bought 4 drinks, they'd give you a chip.
Yes, buyback.
He caught me going in there one time at like 11:30 in the morning, and he's like eating sushi, watching me walk in. He just texts me. He's like, "Don't do it, man."
Well, those were fun times because we went to McCann's a lot. We would get chicken parm and drink, and we had no money. And I think about this all the time. I was talking about with Sarah is like, we didn't have smartphones, and I would walk.
I had a BlackBerry.
This sounds like a joke, but I would walk like 3/4 of a mile to go to Burger King and then an internet cafe above the Dip Mars station over by Soder's
I remember
house.
the internet cafe.
And I would go up there and I would check my Facebook and email one time a day. Like for 30 minutes, I would go in, pay them $2, look at my email and go, okay, and head back. And it's so frustrating now, and you just got to accept. But like, I had no concept of how to make it or build a career or build a fan base. I just went on the road with DePaulo and then got high and drunk with you. And that was it. And then we thought about, and this is also one of those things, well, I was like, we got to write a movie. And I was one of these guys that's like,
first, 3 Men and a Baby?
Yeah, I was like, first we got to walk to Staples and get a whiteboard. But I wanted to make a movie that was like a spoof of 3 Men and a Baby. And I tell this story all the time. You had never seen or heard of that, which was a slight age difference, I guess. And I had to explain it. And I was like, it's Steve Guttenberg, Ted Danson, and Tom Selleck. There's a ghost. Colin Quinn is in it. Someone just leaves them a baby.
It's a dinosaur.
And they think it's cocaine. Yeah. And you're like, cocaine, ghost, and Colin Quinn. And I was like, in order to write the movie, we have to go rent this movie first. So we went to Blockbuster, rented 3 Men and a Baby, got high and drunk, and never thought about writing down a thing.
The day I remember is we ripped it one night. We woke up at like 3, and I was like, we got to do something athletic or something. So we got a football. We went down to the park.
I was just telling the story to Sarah.
And you threw the ball, and I was kind of in the sun. And I was like, send it, man. And he was like, I did. And then as soon as you said I did, it hit me square in the balls. I just went down for like 5 minutes. The 2 adults went to go play catch, and no passes were completed.
And I think possibly that was the same night where I was like, all right, you're hurt. It's been a long day. We didn't do it well.
We went to the Yankees.
Let's head out. Oh, wait, we have 2 baseball stories. We went to the Yankee game, and we were so broke, the cheapest tickets were the bleachers, and we didn't realize that you can't drink in the bleachers. Or I don't know if it was that night.
And there were a bunch of kids doing like the YMCA in front of us.
It was gay night. It was like a gay boys group.
Yeah.
And they were doing YMCA, and they all had lipstick and hair. We were just in the middle, dead sober. And so I think we left because we couldn't drink.
I remember you saying, like, we'll leave at the end of this inning. I want to leave now.
And then there was a time we took the 7 out to the Mets game, and this is pre-smartphone.
Oh, that was like the first day.
Yeah, we were like, let's go to the Mets game. And I had been to the Mets before because I had lived in New York previously. And so we took the 7, and we were just bullshitting, high, drunk. And then we got to like the 28th stop. We were 1 stop from the stadium. And I looked around, and it was us and 8 old Asian men. And not an NY logo to be
must
seen.
Suck this year.
And I was like, uh-oh. And they were on the road. They were playing in Pittsburgh that night.
Yeah. Well, because it's the orange and blue schedule, I think.
Yes, we were confused by which was home and which was away.
New in town.
We were a little dinged up. We were on drugs. But anyways, so those were great times, though, even though we lived together for a year and a half, I think. And we were only in the house together.
It was so cheap. It was like $500 or something like that.
It was our rent was $1,600, and Ira paid $600 because he had the biggest room. And then one time we tried to turn his heat on. We couldn't figure out the heat. And we opened the valve, and it just sprayed steam for like 3 days straight, and literally ruined 100% of his belongings.
The slow destruction of Ira's room was wonderful.
We ruined every book he had. He had like an autographed Larry Bird.
Yeah. He had these CD towers that were like 300 CDs or something like that. And every time I'd lose my keys, I would jump to the next roof or kind of the next balcony, and then I would jump over to ours and climb through his window. And I remember just one time just knocking over his CD tower. I'm going to come back and get those tomorrow.
Well, I also remember he would smoke. I remember coming home, he would smoke bats in the fucking bedroom. I'd come in, he had a little lamplight, and he's reading a 3,000-page American
history book. I read The Hobbit in a day, he would yell.
He fucking was smoking a cigar. And I don't mean like a fucking Red Auerbach cigar in the house, just billowing smoke.
He idealized Churchill maybe more than any person.
No, he loved it, and fucking one of the funniest people ever. And we also had railroad rooms, and I had the middle one, so you had to walk through my bedroom to get, or I had to walk through your bedroom to get.
Yeah.
Out. Yeah.
You remember the JFK one?
With the landlord?
Our two-paid landlord?
Yeah, so Ira collected old muscle magazines, like of men, and they were just homoerotic. It's just male porn.
Yeah.
Under the guise of muscle, and we had hung them all up all over our house. So there was just beefcakes all over the house as a joke. And then one time I'm watching JFK for the 300th time, and it's the scene where Kevin Bacon and Joe Pesci and Tommy Lee Jones are all having a big fucking orgy. Mm-hmm. Landlord comes over. He's an old ex-cop.
Yeah,
big New York cop.
Empty wine bottles everywhere.
Just booze and beefcakes. And he comes in, and it's just Tommy Lee Jones fucking Kevin Bacon in the ass. And he's like, woo, boy, I like what you guys have done with the place.
The part of it I liked is, I don't know which of us took in. We found in the somebody's trash, we found a African-American nativity scene.
Oh, yeah.
And the only thing this like 70-year-old ex-cop could do is, I like the manger. Just look for anything he likes.
It was a manger. I don't know. That didn't make sense. I was trying to do a 70s black voice. I just dumped hot tea on my dick.
Oh, so you did have tea?
Yeah. Oh. No, I made it at home.
Oh.
Anyways.
Tea better to make at home than coffee.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a coffee guy. I don't know what the fuck. But I spilled the tea, which is to say gossip. We got to get into some mental health here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what are you? You depressed?
I don't think so. I would say I'm closer to anxious than depressed.
Yeah, you got some anxiety. But you also seem cool as a cucumber. That's what's so interesting. You seem very zen. You're actually like quietly quite a zen guy, wouldn't you say?
I think I reserve all of my anger for myself.
Oh, anger. I see.
Yeah. I'm, as you know, very ADD.
Yeah. Now, I always talk about you because people... This is my thing I talk about now with autism, where I just hear everyone's autistic now.
Yeah.
And I come from a place.
It's a big catch-all term.
It really is, and it frustrates me. And if someone was upset last week because I talked about autism, and I didn't mean to upset this person, and I'm wrong. I'm an old school guy, but like my friend Erica, who's on the show last week or 2 weeks ago, she has a brother or stepbrother who's severely autistic, like can't be left alone.
Yep.
And if you say when you were born, he knows the day you were born. Your birthday, he can know
big on
that's
birthdays,
a Tuesday.
Ages.
Yeah. And he, he needs someone he needs a guardian because he's autistic. So that's autistic to me. And so now when people,
So you don't believe like Elon Musk?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say I don't believe, but like now I read like symptoms of I'm like, oh, am I autistic? I know every Best Picture winner and every World Series winner from every year. And I get annoyed by noises that no one else seems to hear.
Yep.
And I blink a lot. So maybe I'm autistic, but I don't think of like, I got another friend of the family who's like, oh, she's autistic. And I'm like, what?
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe. I'm just
trying to put in.
Are you autistic?
I only know about diabetes. So I guess there's pre-diabetic and diabetic, so you can be worse.
Right.
On some levels.
So can you be pre-autistic? It's just hard for me to know this person who needs a guardian, and this person
severities of
yes, there are, but like when the severity is so different, it is hard for me to be like, oh yes, this man that needs a guardian with him at all times is autistic, and this person who has 14 close friends and is in a in a rock and roll
Runs
band
a hedge fund.
and is the lead singer
and
invented things. They're both same illness. Anyways, my point is,
I've heard males in general have kind of personality traits that fall along those lines more so than women.
Right. But sometimes I think, I guess my point is, and I'm not a doctor, I'm wrong, I'm an asshole, I'm a boomer, but I think sometimes people have anxiety or OCD that is now just being called autism.
I think that's fair.
But anyways, my point is, I feel like with you, with ADD, people are like, oh, I'm ADD, where I've been with you many times where we're at a red light and you're driving and we begin cruising through the intersection.
That is an ADD. That is me not paying. Yeah, I guess I'm not paying attention.
That's not an ADD?
But I suppose it happens if somebody takes a right on red and I just see the car move, I'll just kind of start going.
That has to be ADD.
It's probably, yeah.
You've had 14 cell phones this year.
I've lost my phone twice this year, but
I mean, how many times have you lost your phone since I've seen you?
Did I tell you the story about my autistic nephew?
What kind of autistic?
He's similar to like he needs help.
Yeah, he's not just like a cheerleader on the cheer squad.
This fits my ADD as well. There's a program called ARC. So I was going to take him to go see the sequel to Puss in Boots. And I don't know Puss in Boots or nothing. Yeah.
No, I don't either.
So I take him in. It's like 9 a.m. I'm exhausted. I lead him in, and we watched Avatar for way too long. And then he just eventually turned to me and like, I don't think this is Puss in Boots. Follow me.
And you hadn't noticed either?
I don't know. Fucking, I'm like half asleep. I don't know what Puss in Boots looks like.
Oh, that's great. I mean, but the losing the phone is certainly ADD, right?
Phone, yeah. I lost my keys and wallet in the same week this summer.
Yeah,
those tile things have really helped me a lot.
You're a big losing thing. I also feel like, I mean,
I'm a loser. I'm a bit of a hoarder.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know what that falls under, but that would be the opposite of that.
I don't know. I mean, to me,
I think that just falls under lazy.
To me, showing up at Starbucks and staying in the house next to mine, that's got to be something, right? Is that autism? Are you autistic?
No one ever told me.
That's how I feel.
If someone told me I was autistic, I'd be like, that's great. I'm just fucking
great. Chalk it up.
Built-in excuse for things.
One man show. Yeah.
No, that time I was honestly under the impression you just weren't in town.
Right. But it feels very you to me. Like, I don't know anyone else that I would bump into and be like, what?
Yeah.
Like, Tom Dustin wouldn't just be in my neighborhood without reaching out.
But when was the last time you even came to New York?
I don't know, 5 years ago. But like also things like this, and I don't know what this is ADD, but we're hanging out at our house. We go to a bar. It's the night of the NBA lottery. The Celtics don't get the number 1 pick.
Oh,
you pack up and drive home.
I was really upset we didn't get Kevin Durant.
Yes, and there was many things like this. We would be hanging out, and you're like, you know what? The Heat play the Magic tonight. I'm going to drive back to Boston, and I'm like, what? So maybe you are autistic.
Very well, possibly. Or maybe I just like a late night drive.
You just like hoop? You like driving?
Yeah. I do like hoop.
I think we're similar in that way. But so how is the ADD, do you think, fucked up your life, if at all? And what do you do? Do you take medicine?
I've taken on so little responsibility.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
That I don't think it has affected my life in any way. It's one of the things I actually tell myself when I lose things to like, because I'll flip out at myself. Is eventually like, I'm not going to get fired from being me.
Right.
So it's like, nobody's mad at me other than me.
Right.
So if I'm the one in charge of being mad at me, how about I just don't give a fuck?
No, that's good. I think it's acceptance. I'm the same way. I mean, just deep self-hatred. And now, do you feel mad at yourself for like, oh, I should have done this, I should do this? Or do you just get mad at yourself when you lose something?
I pretty much only get mad when I lose things. But it's happening so constantly that...
Yeah, you think at some point you just accept I'm a guy that loses things.
Yes, and most of the time that's the way I feel. But when it happens in clutters, I kind of flip out.
Right, and it's not your fault, of course. You have a mental illness.
It's not my fault.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Say it again.
I was trying to have a Good Will Hunting.
My big flaw with that movie, I talk about it all the time, is when Will finally goes to say thank you for everything you've done. He's like, I know. He cuts him off.
Yeah.
He's like finally making this growth of like, let me just say thanks. And Robin Williams.
Well, like he
like,
says, he just teaches the shit. He doesn't know how to do it.
I guess so.
Yeah. I don't like when he beats up the kid from kindergarten.
Wait, when they pull over and he's like, if you're not out there in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's a bad guy. He's just going around beating people up.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, I could have picked a better fight scene for him to, that seems like no redeeming qualities.
Also, the fight scene, the way it's executed is also horrible. Like the slow motion, like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of flaws in that film, without question. But any farts.
You miss seeing the street fights in Boston?
A little bit. I mean, it's a sickening feeling, but yeah, I've never seen another fight anything like. I also don't go out at last call. I'm sure if I was out at 3 a.m, I would see plenty of fights here.
I don't think it happens as much in New York because people filter out.
Yeah,
over the course of the night. At Boston, every idiot in the city is on the street at 1 a.m.
For sure, nobody fights anywhere in America like they do in Boston. Philly is close. Philly might be equal. Which Colin Quinn is the great line. He goes, Philly's the only place I've ever seen two hipsters beat the shit out of each other, which is so funny to me. He's like two guys in skinny jeans and fedoras just literally punching each other in the face.
St. Patty's Day this last year, I saw a guy in reading glasses fighting.
There you go.
Yeah.
So anyways, you got the ADD. Now, I'm always fascinated by this, too, because you were like a world-class golfer. Is that right, as a teenager? But you kind of...
I would say I'm in the 80th percentile of golfers.
Well, not now, but as a teenager.
As a teenager, I probably could have played like at a bad D1 school.
So, but you could have been somebody in the golf realm.
I think I could have been making, a couple bucks an hour giving golf lessons.
Really?
Yeah.
But what if you really asserted yourself and
I've
tried?
never done that with anything.
That's what I'm getting at.
Oh.
No. What is this
thing? I don't think I could have.
Really?
No, not how many players.
Well, maybe that's why you didn't try.
Well, how many professional golfers come out of Massachusetts?
I don't
Almost
know.
none. It's a winter thing. My nephews are way better than me. My nephew plays at USC.
Where are they from?
They're from Massachusetts, but they had kind of from 6. I didn't start till I was 13.
But that's the thing. You're
but I was
so
nowhere
natural.
Near that level. You got to be so good to be a D1.
So is that why you just didn't put the effort in? You just thought no one else has made it. I want to get to the bottom of this.
Honestly, as soon as I started doing comedy, I didn't golf again for like another 10 years. I was drunk, sleeping during the day, and then going out and doing comedy at night.
Now, is this a symptom of ADD, is to become really obsessed with one thing at a time, do you think? Or is this your autism?
It's something.
Because then you got really into comedy, and then you kind of faded from comedy a bit and went back to school.
Yeah. No, I just always wanted to finish school, kind of.
Right.
And it didn't really. Like, I did a TV set when I was back in school.
I'm not saying you faded. I'm saying like your obsession with comedy became less than enough that you were like, I'm going to do this other thing also. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. Although, I mean, I wasn't living here. I kind of live in Boston for some family obligation-y type of shit.
Yeah.
It's hard to be a full-time comedian in Boston.
Yeah.
I mean, there really, post-pandemic especially, there really isn't a show on Mondays.
What about Jesse, whatever? What's that lady's name?
Yeah, I had a good set there in like 09, and I'm never doing it. I retire from this room.
Casciano.
Yeah. I got kicked out of that place 2 weeks in a row.
I was with you for one of them. Yeah, I remember that. I think I tried to sneak you back in. I think I did. Didn't I?
Oh, yeah. That was the night John Calipari called the timeout when Derrick Rose was in the Final Four.
Mario Chalmers hit 3 to tie it. That was Kansas and Kentucky. Not Kentucky. What's the other one? Kentucky. Yeah.
Kansas, I think.
That's what I said. Kansas and Kentucky. Memphis. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. And also, I mean, so many stories there. Green Dragon, one of the oldest bars in America. That was one of the nights my brother-in-law and I went to the Bean Pot and got fucking shithoused, blackout drunk, and then we picked up a sawhorse that we saw at a construction site and just walked in the middle of the show and put it on stage. And then Chris Walsh, we brought in like a big cardboard 6-foot Sam Adams. Chris Walsh ripped the head off of it, and then he put it, one of the funniest things I've ever seen, he balanced it on his head with his hood over it. So he had his sweatshirt pulled up here, and then he had the hood perfectly holding Sam Adams' head up, and he went on stage as the ghost of Sam Adams. And we really made him, I mean, this is what haunts me in my life, and I don't know how you feel when you look back on your career and your life, but I spent so much time just totally fucking around with no direction, just getting drunk. We used to throw tennis balls at each other at the Comedy Connection. That might have been before your time.
I remember throwing a potato on stage there at somebody once.
Yeah.
And I think I remember you throwing it and you hit way too high on the body.
Yeah.
I think you hit like Pete Costello on like the shoulder or something like that.
Yeah, Pete, I remember being really mad at us at one point. I mean, it was just complete fuckery.
My favorite one was, you'd have to know, I guess, all the characters. But Greg Howell.
Yes.
Used to host this Thursday. He's a very deep-voiced black fellow, very funny guy. And he would let new comics host the show. So he let this girl, Daniela Capolino, host the show down there once. And she's hosting, and you and Chris and Tom Dustin showed up. I think you got Tom's car out of an impound, or maybe your car out of an impound. I forget what it was. But you guys show up hammered, and Chris and Tom go on stage, or perhaps you and Tom. And Tom whipped his dick out like 3 or 4 times.
That sounds right.
And there was a kid in the crowd. There was like 12 people there. And then Daniela Capolino goes up to Greg, and she goes, "Oh my God, he keeps whipping his dick out. What are we going to do?" And Greg, like nothing, he just goes, Make sure he sticks to his 7 minutes. That guy has said some famously great things without knowing they're funny.
Greg Howell, he's a barber too.
Yeah.
Is he still around? Who's around? I mean, I can't get too much into this.
Greg Howell's still around. Still gives the $5 comedian haircut.
Nice.
I've seen Diz.
Paul Nardizzi. We can't get too deep into this. We're going to lose everybody.
Cuts. Sure.
But anyway, so you go back to Boston, and because we all kind of split up, but you didn't. Did you think about staying in New York? Why did you go back to Boston at that time?
I thought I was drinking way too much here.
Ooh.
I wasn't making any money.
Right.
So the meager funds I had from the festival were kind of going.
Right.
And you guys were kind of light years ahead of me. Like you were year 6 or 7 at that point.
I was 7 years in, but I had opened for Dane, and I was already open for the DePaulo on the road. Like I was on the road. Yeah.
And I was like, I was doing okay, I thought. But like, I just thought when you're going on at Caroline's and all these shows, you shouldn't be nervous to be doing a show.
Right.
So I thought I was getting exposure a little before I should have.
But you were so good also. And then you did Kilborn at that time. Because at that time, I was like doing all these things.
Later.
Really?
That was later. I have Ferguson.
Yeah, but you did Late Night before I did.
Really?
For sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I thought you had done like Letterman by then.
I did Letterman in June of 2014. I don't think Kilborn was even on the air anymore.
Yeah, no, it was Ferguson.
Sorry, I keep saying
so I did Ferguson. Okay, so I did 2. Yeah, I did like 12 and 14.
Yeah, you were.
But that was just by the other great thing about moving back to Boston was you had moved, Moss had moved, Kaplan had moved. So there was such a dearth of like kind of feature acts, and I was even starting to like close shows there. I always said it was like, 'tis better to reign in hell type of thing of like, I basically, without sending an email, I've still probably sent under 15 emails in my life. I work like every weekend, pretty good gigs, and I would do the Wilbur like once a month.
Opening for people.
So that's how I got Ferguson, was I would just open for him.
Right.
Like one night I got to like close Nick's, walk over, open for Attell.
Now, do you ever think, boy, I should pack back up and move to New York and really make a push? Do you ever have thoughts like this? Boy, I'd like to really go on the road and headline some shows and shoot a special.
Yeah, but also no.
What about a special? Everyone just makes their own special now.
Yeah,
Why don't you shoot a special?
I mean, I talked to Doug Key about shooting something longer.
Yeah.
And then like Don't Tell guys. I did a Don't Tell thing last year. That was like 10 minutes. I got a lot of hits or whatever.
Now, do you long to be recognized and seen and have fans and the money, or you just kind of go, I'm happy just writing my jokes? Because that's just what you have such a zen attitude. But I'm like, are you zen, or are you just
somewhere
like,
between zen and lazy, I suppose?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Right.
But no, I don't like, I don't think I would like I remember opening for Aziz one time on the Cape, and he couldn't walk to get a cup of coffee.
Right.
Like I wouldn't enjoy that.
No. Well,
But I would love to be doing like, closing A rooms and stuff like that.
Right. So why don't you try to do that? You're better than most comedians,
Yeah, I don't always feel that way.
Right.
I always feel like I'm 2 sets away from being back to like square one.
Right. Yeah. Well, you're not.
Like I've done like 4 breweries in the last month.
Yeah.
And those can like, I'll never get a laugh again.
Well, you should come down to New York and do real fucking shows. We should do Grove 34 sometime.
You guys have clubs?
Let's go do Grove 34. Lex has a piece of this place.
Oh, really?
Is that public knowledge? Yeah, it's right down the street. It's
Would
the best room. Let's go. Let's do it. We'll do I don't know. I don't have a date right now, but I'll get a date. I can get one today. I'll text you. Now, This is my other question, because we got to wrap up soon. How smart are you?
Not even a little.
No, you seem really smart. You seem like half retarded, but also like brilliantly smart. You're reading, you go to school, history. You just use the word dearth.
I said dearth?
Yeah, you said dearth. I don't know what that means. Dearth Calloway.
Wow.
Dearth Diggler.
I didn't know I did. I mean, I was
what is your IQ?
Never. Don't want to know.
I bet it's a lot higher than mine.
This one I take to the grave.
What, your IQ?
Seinfeld.
Oh.
I thought you were a fan of the show.
Big fan. I don't know if you nailed it perfectly.
No, he said, remember, it's the IQ thing.
I came through the window. I'm going to use the door. The window's right here.
No, I'm not smart. I mean, I barely got through high school.
Oh, me either, but I'm relatively smart.
I didn't start reading. I don't know if I read a book until I was like 27.
But I feel like you have understanding of high concept things, and you have a lot of knowledge of history. Where's that coming from?
I listen to a lot of nerd podcasts,
right?
Like hardcore history. I listen to all the. There's this one, The Rest is History. It's just two British guys talking. That's great. Yeah. So I listen to shit like that. Watch a lot of Ken Burns documentaries.
Right.
But I'm not a big I think if you start asking me follow-up questions on stuff, it would be pretty quickly exposed that I don't really know what I'm talking about.
But I feel like we're very similar in these ways. But I feel like, don't you think a lot of that might just be your confidence? It seems like you have some confidence issues, frankly, because I think you're a brilliant comic and a pretty brilliant guy.
Oh, well, thank you. You might have just cured it.
Possibly. It's like the scene in Wizard of Oz when he's like, all you don't have is a diploma. You ever seen the film?
They're talking about a diploma in the Wizard of Oz?
Of course, yeah. Huh. That's what he gives the scarecrow.
I've definitely watched it as an adult.
The scarecrow, he says at the end, he's like, I don't have a brain. He's like, there's many people with less brains than you, but they have one thing that you don't have, a diploma. And then he gives him the diploma, and now he believes in himself because, of course, the whole time he did have a brain. He's singing songs and rhyming.
I was thinking a high school diploma.
Well, I think it's a college.
Because a college diploma back then wasn't as big a deal.
I think it's, a PED of the HED or whatever. I mean, I don't even know what a college thing is. When people are like, my bachelor's and my...
Bachelor's is 4 years and associates is 2.
Okay. Now I know.
You know that now.
Knowing's half the battle. But I bet you have a higher IQ than anyone in this room.
I was told I took some tests when I was a kid. I was in the bottom 10 percentile in reading ability, but I was for some reason in the top percentile in verbal IQ.
Interesting. Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, because maybe you're autistic because you seem retarded, but very smart at the same time.
I'm actually, I've said it to people where I think I'm so stupid that when someone doesn't know something I know, I find it amazing.
Right.
So I'm almost kind of like a sort of pretentious retard.
Well, maybe you're like me, because we talk about this with Joe and Ronan all the time. I am extremely insecure about my intelligence, which Ronan believes because I didn't go to college at all. Mm-hmm. But I think it's just because I feel dumb.
I didn't feel smart for having graduated college.
Yeah, but
a lot of it depends on where you go. I went to UMass Boston. You just have to do a little better than the kids that are trying to make sergeant.
Right. But before that, you went to Curry, right?
To Curry, which was largely because they would read the books to you.
That's an Indian school. Curry. Hello, folks. We're having
Safety
fun.
school was a Marsala.
Well, anyways, it's been great catching up. I think you're smart. I think you're hilarious. And
I'm going to think that from now on, too.
Yeah, you should think that. You should think that you should shoot a special, and you should and think, you know more than most people know.
And move to New York City to do comedy?
Oh, you'd have to move. I might move to Massachusetts. I got a baby with very little help up there.
Huh. Well, Sarah seemed to be on top of things.
Yeah. But I'm doing something, and if she had something to do, would be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Last night, I had to cancel a spot so she could do a spot.
Oh, okay. So you think you'd move to Mass?
I thought about it, but the family.
I remember you saying a while back that you fancied a place in Western Mass, like a Berkshire type of thing.
Well, that I'd like as a vacation spot. I think of Hingham. I love Hingham Harbor, and I love the South Shore.
Oh God, we'd love to have you on the South Shore.
Well, I love it so much, and
might hurt my spots. I'd have to start emailing people.
Well, we could do them together. We got to do some more road dates together. That was fun.
Oh, that was super fun. We had a great writing session that time.
We did, yeah. You gave me a big line.
You gave me some lines that I closed on a few times.
Yeah, you gave me a line that was big also that made the special, so I appreciate that.
Oh, the crash the plane thing?
Yes, that was big. And that was great fun. What did we do? We sat, we smoked cigars.
Yeah. Broke a door.
Oh, yeah, you broke the door. I'll be back in Side Splitters next year. Yeah. I'll find some dates. We'll do some dates together.
I love that.
And also, what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, but I also think about moving to the Pacific Northwest because my friend Derek is there. You know Derek. Mm-hmm. And his wife.
Portland and Seattle I loved.
Yeah, maybe come out west with me.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you that the last great drinking hurrah I had was Portland? And Guy Branham, you know Guy?
I know Guy.
He's like, Dan, I want to see you do a set shit-faced. I'm like, all right, I'll do a shot. And just first thing I drank all day, just wrong tube. So I'm like, I'm going to puke. So the bathroom's locked. I run outside. I just boot in the middle of the street. And I just hear the door guy go what the fuck? It's not even night. And then I turn around. There's a line of 200 people going to get into the show. And he goes, you can't come back in here. And I point at the poster. I'm like, actually, I'm closing this one out. They introduced me as like, hey, you saw this guy on Craig Ferguson? I'm like, yeah, you might have also seen me 1 hour ago.
That's fucking hilarious.
Oh, it was awesome.
Wait, I just had a story that I was like, I gotta tell this story, and I forget what it was. Was it Portland related? Oregon?
Seattle,
and me?
when you threw the phone into the fan?
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh.
Wait, no, this was like an all-timer. Shit, we got to wrap up. But I thought of it and I was like, oh, this is like our best story. Fuck. Wait, say again. Guy Branum,
Puke.
Portland. Oh, drunk. It must have been drunk, blackout. Well, there was the one outside the Comedy Village where we were throwing you. We were taking turns throwing you.
Is that the one where I made the spaghetti? I didn't know how to make spaghetti yet, so I didn't cut it.
Maybe.
So I just made these like 9 super long strands of spaghetti and puked it.
That might be. Fuck.
Ira said it looked like I was puking ship rope.
Wait, maybe it was Seattle or, oh God, I have to think of this. This is bad podcasting. I should pause it. I just had it.
Come back on and make an addendum.
Oh, fuck. I want to kill myself. Was it Tampa?
Dude, it's about mental health.
The cigars. Oh, shit. Hold on. Okay, I just thought of it. Thought of the story. Oh, it was Boston Comedy Festival. The party.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
We're up on a roof. I think it was Victor Vernato's party.
Mm-hmm.
Victor Vapardo. That was a stretch. But you were running and then your pants ripped somehow.
I tried to climb over a fence that night and my pants ripped. And then somebody at the party ripped them more.
And then you were running.
And I thought it'd be fun to run around.
Yes. And you tripped and fell
flat on my jaw.
Smashed your chin. And this has happened.
Lower jaw.
This has happened a couple times where I'm just here. This is just a virtue signal here. But everyone gathered around. Everyone was driving. I remember Julia Rossi was there and Shane Moss. And everyone gathered around and goes, oh, yeah, you're good. Because no one wants the party to end.
Yeah. But there was like blood shooting out of me.
I'm not joking. Yeah. There was blood squirting out of your face. Like I could see there was a gap. Like I was like, you need stitches. And everyone's like, don't be a stick in the mud, you homo, you suck. Yeah. And I was like, dude, you got to go to the hospital. But I remember having a touching moment where I like held your shoulders and was like, look in my eyes. We have to go to the doctor. And we went to the emergency room and you did. You needed stitches and we had you do the Dane Cook double finger. And then everybody showed up and it was like Goodfellas. The doctor literally thought Shane was the patient.
Yeah, Shane came in and Alvin came in, our buddy Alvin. Alvin put on a lab coat and like started walking around the fucking hospital. And then Shane fell asleep on my bed.
Oh, right.
And then the doctor came in and looked at Shane and then I'm just like sitting next to him bleeding.
Yeah, I remember sitting there being present as they stitched up your
And I remember
face.
it not hurting at all, and then the next day it being pretty intense.
Yeah, but it was like everybody...
2 days off of drinking.
Literally everybody was like, no, you're fine. And then another time, same thing. You must have been there with this one. Alvin David, our dear friend, one of our favorite people ever, we're playing softball in South Boston. And Alvin goes running into second base. Doesn't slide because he's in shorts. It's like that gravelly shit. And the bases were like those rubber, just throw them on the ground bases. And it went out from underneath him. And he landed and just smacked his face. And he jumps up.
Scooby-Doo landed.
He jumps up and everyone go, oh, I'm good. And Alvin's 48 years old at the time. And I look over and just blood starts coming out of his nose. And I run over. I go, we got to go to the hospital. And once again, I'm this guy. Oh, fuck you. You're a nervous Nelly, whatever. I go, Alvin, your nose is bleeding. He goes, that's all right. It's a bloody nose. And I go, you didn't hit your nose.
Yep.
You hit the side of your face.
Blood was just like nearest hole.
And blood is escaping out of your nose. And of course we go, and it was the night the Celtics won the championship. It must have been 2008. And we go, and he broke his cheekbone. His fucking face had caved in because he just smacked his face. But I'm like, if you have a bloody nose from hitting the side of your face, that's an issue.
Yeah.
Someone
Good
punched.
Crew though. We had a super fun crew.
Yeah, it was awesome. And that, by the way, we were living in New York at that time. I used to just go up and just cancel spots to go play softball and drink all day.
Yeah. And then we started a league that wasn't as fun, but the Sunday softball league was great.
Yeah, that was what infuriated me about the softball league was that it just took over. And I remember snapping one time at the old Comedy Vault. And everyone was sitting around. It was the middle of the winter, and everyone was talking softball. Mm-hmm. And I stood up, and I was like, "We should be talking about fucking Bill Burr's new special and bouncing bits. You fucking lose!" Because I was drunk. Yeah. But it was bothering me that it took over the comedy. I think it actually. I love Tom. I love softball. I think it was ultimately a disservice to the quality of Boston comedy.
In its defense, like I said, it's kind of hard to do comedy every night in Boston, and especially in the summer.
Yes.
So Tuesday night, you could be Carlin. And you're still going to get one set in.
No, it's true. That's true. I'm probably being harsh, but I just remember that's all anybody talked about.
It took over the conversation.
Yes.
Probably more than it ever should.
And I felt like people should be...
There was never a lot of bit running in Boston.
I felt like people should be running jokes and going, did you see this special? Oh, he's the greatest. Who's the greatest of all time, do you think? And instead we were talking about who the best third baseman
Mark
was.
Twain.
That was another classic. We almost got in a fist fight. I felt like I just told this story on the podcast with Norman, I think. But my friend Ira and we went on a road trip with Norman, and Norman was brand new, and we just immediately started popping pills, and Mark was in the back, which I didn't know at the time. Mark had like his eyes set on a career, and I was like, here, take a couple Vicodins and let's go. And he's like, this is insane. And we argued who's the favorite comedian, and Ira Proctor, my friend, who I love for life, said Mark Twain was his favorite comedian. And we almost fought each other. Which would have been ugly because he's a lot stronger and tougher than I am.
Oh, no, he's thrown me 10 feet before, I bet.
Yeah. Well, that's probably how us throwing you outside the Comedy Village started, which I think you got kicked out of the Comedy Cellar that night.
No, I kicked out of the Comedy Village.
Oh, that's right. And then we were like, let's go.
And then you guys sent me to the Comedy Cellar.
I was like,
which was, you got kicked out of the worst place. Why don't you go hang out at the best one?
That's great. And we didn't even tell any Geraldo stories. You opened for Geraldo for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
Yeah, you guys just talked about Raging Bull. He would tell me he would open for Jake LaMotta at Nick's.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And Jake LaMotta ended up being neighbors with Doug Stanhope.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Oh, here's one last story. Was great. At one point, you had borrowed Greg Giraldo's pants somehow.
No, Greg Giraldo borrowed my pants.
Okay, so I'm conflating the pants stories.
He had a hole in his pants. He had pants that had like tape around it. Millionaire. I just give him my pants for the same size, and he wears them for 2 weeks. And then he handed them back to me one night, and then we went out and got ripped up, and then I booted on the pants.
Yes, but so here's the best part. You threw up in your pants. So then what we decided to do, I don't know if this is just you or me and you, we decided we'll rinse them in the sink, and then to dry them, we put them out Ira's window on our roof. We had a little roof.
Yeah.
And closed the window on them.
Flag.
We closed the window on the waistband, and so we just forget about it. 3 weeks later, I'm walking up the street, and you just see two pant legs waving out.
They were frozen
out the window.
like
yeah,
frozen solid.
And you're just like, oh shit, we have puke pants on our roof. That landlord, God bless his
I walk
heart.
by the place every now and then. It was actually, if you had turned it away from a railway place, it would have been an awesome apartment.
It's a little pink house, but it was in the middle of nowhere. But we got to wrap it up. I got to go back to my baby. It's almost 2 p.m. This is crazy.
Oh, I got to go.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, you got to go. All right, Dan Boulger, tell them where to find you.
I'll be in 298 K Street, South Boston.
All right, subscribe to the podcast. Thanks, Dan. You're the best. I love you. I miss you. It's good to see you.